You sure you're ready?
I am ready. Yeah.
That's good. I already started. Critique-Opolis is back. It's my pick this week. I don't know if I told you how I came across this.
No, I'm curious.
I don't know. I found it on Instagram because it had I know you don't use Instagram, but there'll be like short videos that'll play. It's not just pictures, there'll be videos. And I saw there was like a quick breakdown of the movie I picked was Perfect Days by Wim Wenders, and it stars. For anybody who's listening, don't give me a hard time. I don't speak Japanese, so I'm not good with Japanese names. Koji Yakusho and Tokoyo Emoti, and Tokoyo's got a very small part in it, but. I saw this on Instagram, and it's the way it sold it to me was Koji. We just watched this, so I'm struggling with the names. Hirayama is his name, in the character's name. In the Instagram story, it sold it as he is a janitor, and it is almost like it's not really an analysis, it's an actual narrative, but of a guy who just has basically the same thing happen in his life day to day, but how he finds the beauty in very simple things in life. And that wasn't untrue, I don't think.
No.
But we were just talking about how the director was Wim Wenders, and I'd never seen a picture of him before, and I looked him up. I'm like, oh my God, the guy looks totally German, and I was right. What were some of the other movies he's done? I know he's done a bunch. He was an Oscar winner. You're supposed to be on the ready with this, Louisa.
Well, I will add that I also didn't know what he looked like, and I looked up this movie after I saw it. And, interesting photo.
He's, I'll tell you what, I'll let you look it up, and I'll just finish with the details. So the day-to-day is the same, and it goes through, I don't know, like a couple of weeks of his life, the whole movie.
Yeah,
from
maybe.
From day to day. And it starts out, the first day of his life, you see every component of it. Like you see him get up, he sleeps on a frameless futon, and he folds up his blanket, and he folds up his bed and puts him in the same corner of his little apartment.
Very Japanese.
Yeah, very Japanese, in Tokyo. He doesn't live in a slum, but it's not it's kind of a back alley apartment.
Yeah, it's not like a well-to-do neighborhood.
Yeah, but it's not it's not crime-ridden or anything.
Yeah, no.
But it's just kind of like his apartment's in the back of an alley. And he, he brushes his teeth, shaves, and prepares to go out, and he's like a public toilet cleaner, which I'm sure anyone who would see the preview for this would be like, why would I want to see a movie about that? But really, if you can, I don't even want to say if you can stick with it. It's like, if you have to want to go and see a movie about appreciating life, and just how life comes at you. It's like, this isn't Fast and the Furious. It's, he goes out every day to the vending machine right outside his house. He gets a coffee. He gets in his van, and he drives all over Tokyo to do his shift, to do his, clean the public toilets. He's a janitor. He, picks up detritus and sprays down the urinals, and he's got a regular job.
Yeah, he's got to do it Monday through Friday.
And the other character is this. He's supposed to be his kind of cohort, his helper, who has his own bathrooms to clean. Mm-hmm. And this kid is, he strikes me as being like, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but they do this a lot in Japanese movies with like Toko Emoto is Takashi. That's the helper. Mm-hmm. There seems to be like a character style of a young Japanese man who doesn't know how to relate to women, and he is really excitable, and he's always like, he's just chasing like the very base level things a man would chase. He's trying to get the attention of a girl who isn't really into him, and he's trying to manufacture a conversation with her that doesn't really go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And he's very excited about talking to her, and she could of course she picks up on this vibe, and she has no interest in him. Mm-hmm. I think what I liked about the movie though is it had all these little, almost like micro stories to it.
Yes, and it really did.
Yeah, but they gave you just enough.
Yep.
They kind of came to conclusions, but it was reflective of life, and that like in the movie they kind of show you how a relationship or how a person can come into your life and maybe just be in the background. Mm-hmm. And they don't necessarily have to do anything more than that. Like he keeps seeing this guy in the park who's homeless. Oh, yep. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really he just acknowledges him, mm-hmm. but he sees him throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a story together. They just, like, that's part of his day. He's a part of his, yep. Like, there's people like that down at the market that mm-hmm. I see, and I don't mm-hmm. interact with them. Right. I don't know them, mm-hmm. but I see them.
Yeah, I have that with my daily life.
Yeah. Like, the other one was this girl that Takashi is trying to get the attention of. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. She steals one of, help me out with the names. I have a hard time with his name. Hirayama. He really likes music, American music from the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. And she takes one of the tapes out of his car, and she gives it back to him begrudgingly. He doesn't ask for it. She just gives it back to him. And she wants to listen to it again. So they're listening to it together in the car. And mm-hmm. You can tell it like she's emoting. She has a moment, like, because she gets sad and she cries a little, and she kisses him and runs away. Mm-hmm. Not like anything tawdry. She just kisses him on the cheek and like runs off. And so you're left there wondering, like, what's going on inside that girl? Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, is she sad about not wanting the younger kid? Mm-hmm. Or did this music spark something inside her that you're never going to know about? Or mm-hmm. like what is that? And then you don't see her again.
Yeah, that's true.
And Takashi kid, I'm going to try not to get... This is kind of a hard movie. It's not really a spoiler alert because you can only give away pieces of it, but you'd seen this before I did.
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
Give me some of your takes. Otherwise, I'm blabbing on at the mouth, and people get sick of hearing me all the time.
Well, I have to say that I do agree with the things that you've already said, and I will add that I really like this kind of a movie. I like seeing, like, a snippet, if you will, into someone else's life, especially in a different culture. And yes, it was like a little mundane and like everyday, but it wasn't an action
movie or anything like that.
No. It was. It's just, I like watching this kind of movie, and I will say that the soundtrack I really like the soundtrack. I thought it was a really interesting soundtrack for a movie that was set in Japan.
Yeah, because it was all American music.
Yeah,
but,
and it
like,
was just
older
funny
music.
to see him in his van driving to work listening to these songs. He listened to Lou
Brown Eyed
Reed and
Girl
Patti Smith and Van Morrison and some others, and it was just, I don't know, they're all songs that I feel like people know. But like, how would he have come across them? The other detail about the music is they were all on cassette tapes, which I thought was really funny. I know what a cassette tape is. We had cassette tapes growing up.
But this is a 2023 movie set in 2023.
Right, and
like
it was
the kids had cell phone or like smartphones.
Yeah, they had cell phones, and again, another one of his, like, not small, but like little relationship. I don't know what you call it. Little relationships that you see is with his niece, his
Right.
granddaughter, his niece. His niece. Okay, I said granddaughter earlier today. And she
kind of just shows up.
She does kind of show up. I have other commentary about that, but the music part of it, she looks through his cassette tapes, picks one out, and wants to listen to it. But at the same time, she's like, at the same time, she listens to it and she says, "Who is this?" And, anyway, discussion about that. And then she says, "Can I get it on my Spotify?" And he has no idea.
He has no frame of reference for that whatsoever.
What Spotify is. He doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't know.
Who he has a cell phone, but he doesn't have a smartphone.
He has a flip phone.
Yeah.
That's right. And he barely uses it. I mean, I think we saw it one time in the movie, and we won't really say why, but it's like, in quotes, like an emergency. That's why he uses it. I think that's why he has it. Like, if he needs it for something, otherwise he doesn't need a phone.
Yeah, it's almost like the character he's crafted his life to. It's almost like as he went through life, he picked the generation or the part of life that he liked the most and stopped it.
Yes, I would agree 100%.
It's like, we got cassettes, I like those.
Yep. I get books from the bookstore.
I go to the same bar. I go to the same place to eat. And we'll talk about the bar where he eats at, but I want to get back to your thoughts on the niece. Because,
thank you.
Yeah, she kind of ran away to stay with him.
Yeah, which I thought was a really interesting thing to show in this movie. Again, directed by a German director. But also a movie completely and totally set in Japan. Everything about it is Japanese. And I thought it was really interesting how the director brought his main character's niece into the picture, if you will, because she's a young teenager and she has like a fight with her mom, and she runs away and ends up at her uncle's house and stays with him for, I'd say, 2 or 3 days, and then her mother comes to like, quote, like back collect her. Yeah. And you
can tell there's like some family drama between why can't I get his name right? Hirayama and the sister.
Yeah, because her mom is his sister.
And you can tell she has money.
Oh my gosh. And that was another thing that was really interesting to me.
It wasn't like overt. It wasn't like she was dripping in jewelry, but like just the clean lines she had a driver and she had her.
Yeah, she came in a car.
Yeah, and she had like a nice sedan, and she had very clean lines for her clothing. And
she was very well put together. Her makeup was minimal and perfect. Her hair, it was like another level.
I mean, you probably heard me. I know you heard me when she questioned him about his job. Like, he has this job that he it's not glamorous.
And he goes to, and it's not glamorous, but
she's like, "You're cleaning toilets," and he's like, "Yeah." And like, it makes you wonder, like, did his family have money and he is somehow shunned from them, or he like abandoned them? Like, or
maybe she's offered to like help him out and he's not. And the thing is, I think
he didn't want to talk to his dad either. His dad has dementia and he's in a
nursing home.
She asked about that.
And he said no. He didn't want to go see him. And she said it wouldn't be like whatever it was before.
Yeah, like he
and
was
he's
crazy
still,
mean or...
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, when they part company, they're both really broken up, and you're like, this is the thing about life, like regular life. When you see that emotion in people, you can't, especially on the with people you don't know, when you see that just in passing, like, I see it with people on the market all the time. Like, it's like you want to stick your nose and be like, what's this all about? Why, like, what happened? Why is it breaking down? How can I be involved? And, like, you know, good candor and good manners dictate that you don't do that. But, like, you're watching these people, like, why is this relationship like this? You clearly want to have a better relationship, but you just, like, I should talk, right? I've got that kind of relationship with my dad, but, like,
I think everybody must have that in their family. I mean, I have that in my family. And I think, to bring it back to the movie, I thought it was interesting how, because the way I look at it is to each their own. And, you know, maybe you have a job and you're not making, you know, the money that you would like to make, but you have a job and you're happy in that job.
yeah,
And I think he was happy in his job and with his life. And for his sister to come by and say...
Of the very few things she said that.
Yeah, and very specifically, like, are you cleaning toilets? Not, are you a janitor? Not, do you work for the city?
Are you
not,
happy? Are you healthy?
Not, are you happy? How are you doing? Are you, you know, I don't know, what are you doing on your weekends? But it struck me today watching it that he was happy and content in his job. Yeah, sure, maybe he wasn't super happy because, yeah, he's cleaning public bathrooms, but he has a job that he goes to every day. He has a simple life that he lives. He seemed happy. I mean, everybody has trials and tribulations and things they're unhappy about in their life, but she just came through and was like...
That's what made me wonder,
made
like...
it demeaning. That's what I'm looking for.
Like, when you said, yeah, he's cleaning toilets, and, like... There are people, like, I like to think that in my own business I'll ascend and I'll do better from year to year. But, like, I absolutely acknowledge there are people out there who just, they don't give a shit about money, or they want to have a job, they have something to do, and it's not in their value system. It's not where it's not where they find meaning. And it made me wonder, I'm like, is this kind of the crux of, like, why you don't talk to the rest of your family? That she just opens with that. She didn't open with him, but it was real quick after the introduction. When she sends her daughter into his apartment to get her things.
And they have a moment because it's just the two of them.
And she says that, and I'm like, I understand why you don't talk to her. I get it. Like, just with that statement, he's just like, yeah, I do. And he had this look on his face like, yeah, that's what I do. Like,
there was no, like, hi, how are you? Or thank you for, well, I guess there was a thank you, but there was just no, like, hi, how are you? She got out of the car, talked to her daughter, told her to go inside the house and get her stuff, and opened up with her brother, just
totally
like...
sterile.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And then I had to laugh, too. Very Japanese, but that she brought him out a gift to say thank you for taking care of her daughter.
Yeah.
His favorite chocolates from someplace.
It's, you know, that's a funny thing about humans, is that, like, you get these little idiosyncrasies from culture to culture. Like, yeah, she brings chocolates, which I am going to guess in Japan is kind of a higher end gift.
Yeah.
And I think on some level that people think that subconsciously subverts, or it allows them to say...
Yeah, it's an excuse
to say demeaning shit. People are like, this is what you're doing with your life? He's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, here's a chocolate bunny.
Right, yeah, and, like... And you know what the sad thing... What really got me about this is that they embraced, but she didn't really weep. She was moved, but he was upset. When she left, he was sad.
Yeah, he did break down for a minute.
It's like you could, and this is what I wanted to take out of it. Like, watching it, you're like, if I were him, I would assume he would be thinking, why isn't our relationship better? Mm-hmm. Why do you, like, we both want this to be healthy and it's just not. Mm-hmm. And even like when the niece asked him, like, why don't you guys talk? Or she didn't say that. She said something like that though, like,
oh, the niece talking to her uncle about why, yeah.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And he was like,
we just don't. Yeah,
he didn't
get into anything specific. He just kind of brushed it off, and then they moved on.
I wonder how much of that was well thought out, or how much of that was very German.
Yeah,
from
true.
Wim.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I find it so funny how, like, there's, like, if you look at Germany and Japan, it's almost like when you look at, like, evolved, meticulously organized societies, mm-hmm. It's like the more they ascend with order and cleanliness and sophistication, they counterbalance it with a loss of inner peace. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about this before. Like, I know that in Japan there's or at least in Asia, there's a lot more emphasis paid on meditation. Bless you. But there's especially in like the big cities, mm-hmm. that the working man mode of life, where guys get up like crazy early, mm-hmm. they put on a suit, they work for freaking 15 hours,
mm-hmm. every single day. It's like
and
that.
And they live in a fucking shoebox,
mm-hmm.
and like that. I don't care who you are, or what your society is. That has to take a toll on you.
Mm-hmm. I think for sure it does. I mean, if you live that kind of life, that's all you're doing. That's...
My soul would just be screaming. I couldn't... I have a friend who said I could... Japan just seems like the most oppressive society, and anybody who's listening to this, I'm not dogging on Japan, but that is a component of... excuse me, of life there that would affect me. I couldn't have an office job there. No way.
No way. Yeah. And that's not a part of, because I've been to Japan several times and I really love Japan and I love everything Japanese. Mm-hmm. I love the culture. I love the people. I love, like, I just love how it's different from here. Like, it's a lot of fun. And that's not saying I wouldn't want to live there. I wouldn't necessarily want to live there, but it is fun and different. And the way that I see it is not from like a family perspective or a business person's working perspective. But then when you like throw that in, I'm like, oh yeah, like you see those people every day.
I'm sure you did. Like when you get on the subway, I'm sure it was just packed with black suits with black ties and white shirts. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was everywhere.
Yeah, it's just, it's interesting. Very, very interesting.
I think that, you know what I just noticed? You know another movie that Wim did that I saw when I was a teen, kind of saw. I was like, Until the End of the World, which was, I'd like to see it again because my attention, I'll tell you later for other reasons, my attention wasn't really on it, so I just remember seeing it in the theater, but like only watching it
a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It was very, I don't even want to say cerebral. It was,
what was it called again? I'm sorry.
Until the End of the World.
Thank you.
It had a very disjointed plot. Mm-hmm. And it was a little tough to follow. I don't know if this was a 90.
I've never heard of it before.
I know. William Hurt was in it. I'm trying to see like who the other. William Hurt, Solveig de Martin, who outside of that movie, I'm sure she's been in other stuff, but I don't remember. I think U2 played. They have a song in there. Mm-hmm. Eddie Mitchell, Adele Lutz, Ernie Dingo. There are a lot of guys I don't see on the regular. I think. Sam Neill was in it. That's right.
I saw another movie that this director made, Pope Francis, a man of his word. And that came out in 2018 because, my family's very Catholic, and we had just been to Italy like the week or the month before, and we went to the Pope's Mass and saw him, and so this movie came out, and my mom had like a pull toward it. But anyway, had a pull toward it. I don't know how like she was just interested to go see it because we had just a pull because we had just experienced it firsthand, so that was interesting. But yeah, just looking through the other movies that he's done because I've not heard his name before, but
Wim.
Yeah. Did you recognize the name?
No, but I recognize that particular film. I never saw Pope Francis. I probably wouldn't see a lot of movies that had I was raised Catholic too, but it doesn't appeal to me. But Until the End of the World, I would totally see that again.
It's interesting because looking at his the movies that Wim Wenders has made, they're movies and the Pope Francis movie, that's a documentary.
Yeah, I don't. This one I like. What we just watched was. I got to tell you, when I decided to watch this, had it been any other time, if I was a little bit more engaged, or if I'd just gotten off a workout and somebody had said, "Would you want to watch this about a guy who goes through his day-to-day life in Japan and he's a janitor?" And I'm like, why would I want to see that? But I think there's something to be said for wanting to see a movie when the mood catches you right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was laying down in bed, I came across this, and he has a thing in the movie where he just likes to take photos of trees. He goes to one particular park every day and photographs his favorite tree or parts of his favorite tree.
This is back to the movie. Yeah. Hirayama does this.
Yeah, we're doing a podcast about this movie,
I do know that, but I just, don't want people to be confused.
Yeah, no. This it just kind of it kind of throws you back to. He appreciates his the simplicity in his life and the I don't want to say the methodical nature of it, but
in a way, yes, he does appreciate the methodical nature of his life, and I think too he finds. Which I tried to do this all the time in my life, is to find the joy in the little things and the current moments that you are in. And he gets up in the morning and he brushes his teeth and he goes out.
For anybody listening, that's the word recording in a not in a soundproof studio. The AC just kicked on. You'll live.
It's just extra background noise. But I think the way I see it is there are some parts of his life that are, just day to day. They just happen. You just do them. You go through them, whatever. But then other parts of his life, for example, sitting down in the park and having lunch and taking a moment to get his camera out and take photos. And he clearly enjoys that. It's a hobby for him. Because in the movie we see he takes his film to the photo lab and they get developed, and then he takes the pictures back and he looks through all the pictures and he saves the ones he likes and he gets rid of the other ones. But then we find out that in this small space that he lives in, a closet, he has all these boxes of photos that he's been taking for months, for years. And I just think it's interesting.
I wonder if it's all of the same tree.
I know, in that same spot.
You know what? Because he picked up that sapling. There was a part in the movie where he picked up that sapling.
That's true, and he had a whole table at home.
Yeah. Of little plants that he kept. See, this is why we do the podcast, because you see these things and they don't necessarily register. It's
Yeah.
almost like these are his children.
My mind's kind of blown right now. Like, oh yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he kind of grows these things.
Yeah.
And that's like what he's watching, because the Takashi says to him at one point, "You don't have any kids," but he brings life into the world.
For sure.
And he does it very slowly. Mm-hmm. And he goes like, if this tree was his child,
Mm-hmm.
because his niece said at one point, "Is that your favorite tree?"
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
And he photographs that every day.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And
That's
I'm
really,
sure,
I did not put, yeah, that's really interesting. I found that like very beautiful and like sort of poetic, like that he did that in his life, because
he doesn't have a kid, but kids, like, they grow up, they move away.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that's alive, he takes care of, and he can go and see it every day.
anytime he wants to, really, but he sits here every day at his lunch break. It's, yeah, I don't know, I liked it. I forgot I had something else to
So yeah, that's because I cut you off. Sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, like if you think about all the dates on those boxes, like I think those are all from the same place.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to chronicle a life or your life. Like,
Yeah, mm-hmm.
when he's dead and gone, people like
I thought about that
like
when
people
he,
are going to go through there's pictures of all the same tree. What the fuck? What
Yeah.
is it?
yeah,
it's
like what's
almost-
the significance of this? And that's where he went every day.
It's almost like I know I've talked to you in the past about a living trust and things like that, but like if you want to have, maybe he doesn't care about legacy, but personally I would probably have a letter in there that said, "This is something I planted."
Yeah,
It looks like,
some-
to anybody else, it'll just look like pictures of a tree. Maybe
Right.
it'll look like pictures of multiple trees.
Mm-hmm.
It's one tree that I grew and I'm watching grow.
Yeah, and they're black and white photos too, by the way. So it's sort
yeah.
of like a little bit artsy. Like, I mean, that's what I think of when I think of black and white photos versus colored photos.
Which is just like his dreams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we see fragments of his dreams, which are fragments of the previous day.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like we see, there's so many little pieces to this movie. Like he plays tic-tac-toe with somebody who leaves
Oh, I love that.
a slip of a tic-tac-toe board on a piece of paper with one circle filled in somewhere. They leave it in the one of the bathrooms
That he
tucked
cleans
behind
daily
it.
on a daily basis, and
And
this
he
person
plays with them.
Mm-hmm. It's so, I love that.
And then in his dreams, you see just little fragments
Of-
they're like images that are all kind of run together.
Yeah.
But the images are in black and white, just like his pictures.
Yeah, that's very true. I have to say, on the note of the tic-tac-toe game, I won't specifically give it away per se, but I saw this movie in the theater before we recently watched it from Amazon, and there were differences in the movie.
Oh yeah, you brought that up. You're like, I don't remember
yeah,
this.
and like because
It's like a different edit.
yeah, it was like one of those things where like I'm watching it and I'm like, this is the same movie. Wait, no, it's kind of not. And then there were scenes that, because like you were asking some questions and sometimes I knew sort of the answer and sometimes I didn't because I was confused. And again, I talked about this before, but I really like the soundtrack to this movie. The first time that I saw it in the movie theater, and it's not that I didn't the second time, but there was more music in it this time. And like one of the things that I noticed, I don't think this is giving it much away or anything, but he was in his van driving to work, and he was listening to a song in Japanese, and in the movie he never did that.
You mean in the...
Sorry, thank you. The first time that I saw the movie, he didn't do that. So there were just like little, and there was a scene that we saw where his van was by the side of the road, and anyway, I thought it was very...
I'm just looking at the time. Just
okay.
You don't
I just think that it was interesting that there were two different edits that they showed. I mean, I guess they're not going to say that.
Well, you gotta remember, it depends on like the venue they're playing it in. Like if they're playing it in the theater, that could be one edit. But if there could be a contract negotiation for streaming where it's like, we need it shorter, so put this one out.
Okay.
And Like, the only way you really know that is if you see them do, like, a Q&A.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I liked both versions for sure. They were the same movie. It was just, in this movie, in the version that we saw, there was more of his daily life and a little bit more repetition of his daily life. So, for example, he went to the laundromat several times.
Oh, when you saw it the first time?
When I just saw it recently. The first time, I don't even know if he went to the laundromat, honestly.
Wait a minute, you only saw it twice? Mm-hmm. You mean he went to the laundromat when we just watched it, or when you first saw it?
He went to the laundromat this time when we just watched it.
Okay.
The first time, I don't think another really good example. So he goes to the laundromat on the weekend when he has time, when he is not working.
Yeah.
And in the movie, the first time I saw it, they didn't show his weekend life.
Oh. Okay.
So that was a big part of why, like, it was just a different life schedule, you know? The weekends are different for some people than the week. Mm-hmm. And it showed a lot more of his life, I guess. It's just interesting.
More of his work life.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is what, like, I'm so fascinated by, like, the business of film, just because, like, in Selling Honey, it's very quick and transactional. Mm-hmm. But this is where, and I've told you this before, this is where I kicked myself a little bit from leaving Hollywood, which I felt was maybe a little premature, because I'd see the play out if I stayed in Hollywood and got a job at the studio, how these transactions played out, just because depending on where you are in your career as a producer or as a director, you have to sell this idea to someone. And, like, I just imagine what that pitch is like.
Yeah.
It's like, if he doesn't go to a studio, if he has to raise, which a lot of filmmakers, they have to get investors. They're like, a studio is like, this is not for us, it's not big enough, and, like, you don't have anybody attached to it, you don't have directors attached to it, you don't have stars attached to it,
Right.
It's just a concept, so you have to go out and solicit your own money. And see, it just kicked off. That would be interesting if he didn't do it in German, like, to listen to the pitch about, okay, this is a man who is a janitor in Japan, and it's a movie about his day-to-day life. I wouldn't do that pitch justice, because another component of this is, yes, it goes day to day, but Wim recognizes the fact you've already seen him shave. You've already seen him go to the bathhouse a couple times. From the next day, you don't have to see that. So each day has been edited down to the point where,
yes,
I just want you to see the significant component of this day, and I'll frame it at what part of the day that's in. I'll give you, like, where, like, he's gotten up and he's gotten his coffee, and then the Takashi kid is going to call and cancel and quit the job. That's the important part. Then he has to do Takashi's service load for that day, and he's totally exhausted by that. So, but that's the significant part of that particular day, and that's how he goes through the movie from day to day. You don't have to see him get up and shave and go to the bathhouse and, like, do all the bathrooms on his shift. You just see, like, he appends down after a couple days what you're supposed to pay attention to. So, like, that's what, like, I think, in 2024, that we appreciate that from a director, but, like, we appreciate that because, like, on an overall sense, we understand how hard it is to put together a story, but you have to really talk about it to see, like, that's what, like, a very talented auteur does, is I tell this story, but I can tell, like, the overall sense is it's about his day-to-day. But I don't have to show you every component of his day-to-day. I have to append it down day by day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wim Wenders did a very good job of that in this movie.
Like I couldn't understand why someone like him with that attention to detail would win an Academy Award.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really liked this movie. I mean, this is a movie that I could see myself watching again. And I mean, when you suggested it, or said it was your next movie pick, like
I would
totally
bummed.
watch it again.
Yeah, I was. You're like, oh yeah, I saw that. I'm like, God damn it! Can I pick something that you're just moved by that you haven't seen?
I see a lot of movies. I used to see a lot more.
Yeah, this one had what was it? You had a open pass to the Michigan Theater.
Oh yeah. I have a high level membership to the Michigan Theater.
Did you renew that?
It's not up for renewal yet. I think it might be up for renewal in September. Like I did renew it from that time that you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. No
it's like a lot of it comes with it comes with a lot of benefits, and really I only need to see 2 movies a month to make it worth it, which I'm probably going to see 2 or more anyway.
You got to figure out a way to incorporate the Michigan Theater into this little show.
We should. That would be very cool.
She knew somebody at the board there that we could include in the podcast. Just like somebody who wants to talk about movies.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are people. I just don't know if they would.
It would have to happen organically. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, hey, we have this podcast. I wouldn't want to do that.
I also feel like, and separate from what I was going to say, but I mean, they do know me very well there. They'd be like, oh, yeah. But I also feel like there probably are people who work at the Michigan Theater who not already, but also have a podcast about something. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure. But yeah.
Do you remember, this is kind of a little off topic, what's your most, do you remember one particular movie you saw at the Michigan Theater that you remember the most?
Right off the top of my head, not specifically one that I remember the most, but one that really sticks out, and I don't know why this popped into my head, but the movie series The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Which one? The one with Daniel Craig or the other one?
The ones from overseas. Are they Swedish?
Yeah. Swedish, yeah.
So I used to go to the Michigan Theater a lot, like 3 and 4 times a week. And so I would see almost everything that they would show. And I didn't know anything about those movies.
You didn't?
Nothing. Not anything.
For anybody who listens, Louisa is very slight, and you remember she got a little upset once. I called her goody two shoes once, but she's not.
I am a goody two shoes.
Yeah, you are. I'm working on that. But Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a really rough story because there's a background, primary character. There's a sexual assault component to it, and
they're very intense on many, many levels.
I've heard that, and like the one with Daniel Craig, there were parts of that where they were pretty rough.
You haven't seen the Swedish ones?
I haven't seen that one.
They're very good. I don't know that I'd ever watch them again, but there were 3 of them, and so
yeah, because they couldn't make the other ones work. They couldn't make them, like, they had a great response. Mm-hmm. They pulled in good. I think they pulled in good box office numbers, but for some reason they couldn't make it. They couldn't make it work.
Well, I think they did pull in huge box office numbers, and then the books got really big because, of course, like most things, they're based on books. And at the time there were 3 books, and again off topic, but again at the time there were 3 books, and then a 4th one came out. And I remember it was a really big deal, and I don't read a lot of books, so, but I saw these movies, and I just thought the first one, I was blown away. And then when I learned that there were going to be more movies, I just couldn't wait. And then I would see that they were going to come out, and I'd like write it in my calendar so that we could go see the next one. So I know there are other movies like that I've seen at the Michigan Theater. Well, actually, thinking about it, I'm really into Indian cinema, into Bollywood, and in 2001 there was this huge Indian movie that was nominated for a foreign film Oscar, and that was showing downtown. And so, friends and family are like, we have to go see this movie. And this movie is 4.5 hours long. So there was an intermission, and I was blown away. Like I wouldn't say blown away maybe, but like that just really stuck out because all these people were coming to see this movie.
What do you mean?
Like,
which people?
Just like audience members, like because they were hearing about this movie, and like people were talking about it around town, and like, are you going to see this movie? Have you seen this movie? It's really long, and Bollywood movies are these big epic musicals. Anyway, really off tangent. But,
no, I'm listening.
But that I forgot about that for a minute, but that really sticks out in my head as a movie that was like a really big movie.
I think I've told you this before. Do you know the first movie I saw there?
At the Michigan Theater?
It was in the big theater and not one of the side ones.
Uh-huh.
It was in the big theater, and I saw it with Ryan in the balcony, and it was packed. And I'd never heard of this movie.
What did you see?
Heavy Metal.
I don't know this movie, do I? No, I don't.
It's an animated movie from '81.
I definitely don't know.
And
wow, really?
And I'm telling you, it was like I didn't know anything about animation, and I mean, the theater was fucking jammed.
If you were sitting in the balcony, that's pretty. I've not sat up in the balcony for a lot of movies.
The whole theater was jammed, and this was.
Oh.
I want to say this was in 90. Maybe I was in college. Maybe 94, 92, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. And he's like, heavy metal's playing. I'm like, the hell is that? I'm like, I don't like heavy metal. He's like, no, it's a movie. It's an animated movie. I'm like, and he's like, oh, and John Candy is one of the main voices.
Okay.
I'm like, John Candy is in the anime. What are you talking about? And if anyone has, it was super entertaining. A glowing green orb which embodies ultimate evil terrorizes a young girl with an anthology of bizarre and fantastic stories of dark fantasy, eroticism, and horror. Yeah, there was erotic components to it, which is why it was crazy that John Candy was in it. But let's see, Richard Romanus, John Candy, Joe Flaherty. When you see, this guy, he's done a bunch of animated. Actually, he was in One Crazy Summer. Remember that kid Akak who got thrown out of the house, who took the bazooka? That's his dad, the scout leader, who's like.
Yeah.
Remember that? He's like, this is what makes men.
Yes,
men.
I do remember. Yeah,
that's him.
Oh, no way.
Don Frax, Susan Roman, Harvey Aiken, Al Waxman, all kinds of like 80s actors. Marilyn Lightstone. It was an event. Actually, that'd be a fun movie to watch again. I don't think I've seen it since then. But anyway, before I got to get to a recipe here.
There's so many, like now that I'm thinking about this question, like there's so many movies. I've had some really great movie moments there, of course, but.
I lost my recipe here.
I've been there for so long.
Okay, so this is a quick and dirty. Again, Critique-Opolis is brought to you by Hey Honey. You can visit me online at heyhoney.biz or the Instagram jheyhoney, Jay Hey Honey. And for those of you listening, Hey is spelled with an E, not with an A. This is a honey barbecue sauce recipe that like a lot of people like to make their own honey barbecue sauce, but I mean, let's admit a lot of times people screw it up. This is real quick and dirty. It's not, I'm just going to give you the ingredients because there's no prep there. You just mix it all together and then you've got your sauce. Half cup garlic infused honey. You can do that, but of course I'm going to pimp my own stuff here. The hot pepper one would work really good for this. I don't make a garlic honey, and I'm not going to. It's just not what I do. But you don't have to use garlic infused honey. You can use garlic separate. Just use your own measurement. I'd mince it though, if I were you, before I mix it with honey. Then 1/4 cup cinnamon honey. You can definitely get that from me.
It's delicious.
I do it as a essence infusion, so it's sharp. It's more of almost like a red hot.
Yep. I was gonna say the same thing.
But if that's not your thing, if you like a more subdued, which it'd be more time consuming, but you can just mix maybe a teaspoon or a couple teaspoons of cinnamon into clover and wildflower honey. But mix it. Don't just like let's say at the top. You got to mix it. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be more of a subdued honey or a subdued cinnamon flavor. And then this is I didn't read this all the way through. A 1/4 cup of buckwheat honey. So half cup garlic infused or regular honey with garlic. A half cup of that. 1/4 cup of cinnamon honey, and then a 1/4 cup of buckwheat honey. For those of you who don't know, buckwheat is a monofloral single pollen honey. It's black in color. It's very earthy. It's bitter. It's a lot like molasses. So just
oh yeah, okay. I was wondering. I didn't know this. Yeah.
You're putting all of this together with 3 tablespoons of ketchup, half teaspoon of paprika, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 tablespoon of seasoned salt, 1 tablespoon of meat tenderizer, an 1/8 black pepper, which is just a dash of black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, an 1/8 of oregano, so just a dash of oregano, a 1/4 cup of steak sauce, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, 1 tablespoon of mustard, and 1.5 cup of brown sugar. This is a sugar heavy. I guess that's barbecue sauce is known to be sugar heavy, right? You got 3 different kinds of honey.
I think so, yeah.
You got 3 different kinds of honey.
You wouldn't think so, but yeah.
So if you're diabetic, this isn't for you. So life sucks. What do you want me to tell you? Go to the gym. Unless you're type 1, then you can't do anything about it. People are going to write in on this. How dare you? You have no idea. You're right. I don't. I'm sorry. I can't have everybody's problems. Sometimes I say rude shit. Oh well. But yeah, that's actually that sounds really good. I just wish you ate pork. God, we could make a delicious.
Couldn't you use chicken?
We could do this in your air fryer. Oh, I don't have any. Buckwheat's not in season right now, so. You have to wait till
down the line.
So honey barbecue sauce for this week's Critique-Opolis. We were going to try and jam in another one of what's the other thing we do? Help me out. Get off your phone.
Blacklist.
We were going to do a blacklist and the dailies, but
the dailies, yeah.
We haven't eaten yet or nothing. And here's the thing with the dailies is that we get 2 to 3 of those a week. So just so you guys know, whenever we do a hot take of what's happening in Hollywood, it's going to be from what's happening within the past day or so.
Yeah.
So to try and recoup all of them it's just not possible. But the next blacklist is on Louisa.
Okay.
Do you have one picked out or?
I do not have one picked out.
All right. Well, for the next time, I got to eat. So. Anything else from you?
I feel like we say that a lot. Thanks for listening to our podcast, but now we have to go because we have to eat. I mean, eating is a daily part of life, but...
It's a big deal for me.
I mean, yeah. And usually we're recording in the evening,
I'm
so
always thinking about food.
Yeah.
Like,
It's been a long vacation day, so it's like one of those
you know who always
like
gives me
slow
shit
moving
about that?
about eating.
Yeah, Noble. Like, you eat too much. I'm like, what? Shut up.
He does.
He has a problem.
No
with,
way.
He has a problem with everything.
He does really.
I love
Actually,
him,
that
but he
makes a lot of sense.
He grumbles about it. He's like, you eat too much. I'm like, I had an apple since I've been here.
And I've been up since 4:00 in the morning.
He always sees me at market, and he's always like, you're always talking about eating. I'm like, I just had an apple. I haven't left the table in like 10 hours, man. He's like, you don't.
I'm drinking some water on the side.
Yeah.
I'm starving.
He's like, yeah, you don't need that. I'm like, you know what? You should go and get me something to eat.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to get.
See that taco truck over there? I'd take 3 of those right now, please.
All right, we got to figure something out before Amos or whatever closes.
Okay.
All right. Toodaloo. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.